the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni is yet to sign into law a bill that was passed by the Ugandan Parliament last week, which is actually just waiting for him to actually sign the bill into law. But this has actually angered a lot of the LGBTQ communities all over the world, and South Africa has not been an exception, where we're finding the group that's called the Access Chapter 2 that's actually picketing outside the United Nations offices here in Pretoria. I am joined by one of the executive members of the particular group, Steve Letsike. If you can just elaborate on the purpose of you guys actually gathering here. I understand also your sole purpose is to try and get a majority of the Commonwealth countries to sort of subscribe to the homosexuality laws.
Well, thank you so much. First, we are here at the United Nations to also indicate, because United Nations sits many of our countries globally, about 178. And part of why we're here, we want to call on United Nations to actually raise the bar around accountability, where countries that are members of the United Nations are actually in contradiction with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And we are here in South Africa to say we are rising with concern, severe concern, of a bill that suggests to erase many people, particularly LGBTI people in Uganda. Now, we stand here in solidarity with Uganda. We stand here firmly that we will not bar back on the basis that human rights that people are entitled to by virtue of being human are actually being undermined. And secondly, we are also part of the Commonwealth as South Africa. We are part of the Commonwealth with Uganda, which actually speaks about peace, security, developmental agenda, the rule of law that does not harm citizens in this space. And we are calling on United Nations to stand, but we are also calling on our South African government to stand, because we come from a history of prejudice. We come from a history of oppression, and there's no way people must continue to be oppressed anywhere they are.
Yes, and if you were to actually engage the President of Uganda yourself, what would you want him to hear?
Well, I think the first thing that President Museveni must do is to put Ugandan first. And Ugandan citizens, all of them, leave no one behind. And it does also speak about minority groups. We cannot accept precedent where we sit here as people to continue carrying on colonial legacy, carrying on colonial laws that does not serve purpose. That bill that was passed by Parliament of Uganda does not serve purpose. It actually seeks to undermine the ideas of freedom of association, freedom of expression, the right to privacy, and the right to life. And that's exactly what they're undermining. But what I want to add, it is quite clear that our own countries are also holding on to many of these colonial laws. When the former Prime Minister of United Kingdom, Theresa May, spoke in 2018 and said, the British government actually regrets these colonial laws. They were wrong then and they are wrong now. And this is an evident enough that we can't be sitting here and allow every man, woman in all their diversity, doesn't matter whether they're lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and they continue to be oppressed. And currently, Uganda wants to see people out, and they're erasing them. They're erasing them by criminalizing them, but also by calling on death penalty.
Yes, and what are you hoping for the United Nations to do?
Look, first, United Nations is a diplomatic forum for many of our member states. Come together and you speak about accountability. Security Council must be on guard. The United Nations economic stand must be on guard. The United Nations must stand actually and call Uganda. As much as we respect the sovereignty of countries and independence and autonomy of countries, but where rights are violated, we must speak out, and United Nations must hold Uganda to account.
Thank you very much. Well, that's Steve Letsike, who's part of the executive members of Access Chapter 2, which is a group that's convening here outside the United Nations, actually calling on the authorities to try and respect basic human rights, which include the rights of association and the like, saying that this bill should not be signed into law or it's going to cause chaos as people might start fleeing the country of Uganda. And with that, it's back to studio.